No, I already did that.
Morning to everyone just joining. We're just waiting for Raven to come in and everyone else to join, and we'll get started. Raven might be running a couple of minutes late this morning.
Hey, Patricia,
Yes.
are you guys keeping notes? I think somebody kept notes last time. Do you have those?
I'm not sure who was taking notes last time. I think Raven was using a note taker.
Oh yeah, okay. I was just wondering because I was gonna make a file
No,
on
I
my
don't.
computer
I don't
so I
use
could
the
see it.
AI note taker. I do not use.
Oh,
the
hi,
AI
Raven.
Hi. I do not use the AI note taker, just to be clear, because that thing is kind of causing issues. So I don't know what you guys were talking about, or I just caught the last of that.
Oh no, I was just asking. I asked her. I said, did we have like notes from last time or something? I was just trying to figure it out because I was gonna make a folder on my computer so I could keep track of it. That's all.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah,
know.
welcome everybody. Running behind a little bit this morning. Is there a reason why we have it says read AI meeting note taking?
Two folks have brought in different note taker apps with them.
Okay.
And I do make the recordings available after the meetings as well.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah,
Can you disable the AI note taker, please, if you have it on? And the reason I ask that is because something weird is going on with that. It's sending out emails to random people that are on my contacts from me.
Oh my goodness.
Raven is sending you
Alexa,
a note, AI note summary, and from me, and it's copying information of mine, and that's why I'm asking for it to be removed. So I don't know how that all happened and stuff, but it did. So
thanks for telling all of us though, because that's very wow.
Yeah, so welcome to the cultural committee, and I'm Raven Shepherd. I'm the chair. I'm running a little behind this morning. It's good to see some familiar faces, and it's good to see some more people on. Some people I don't know, so that's good. Let me see. I see a AI thing. I'm gonna remove the AI thing, I think. So that'll be okay. Okay. I removed two. All right, so we're gonna open up the meeting with a prayer. And I see an elder on here, so I would love to reach out and ask that elder to open up this meeting with a prayer, if that's okay. Hi, Ron, how are you?
Oh, I'm good.
Good
Yeah.
good to see your name on the Zoom. Do you mind opening up our meeting with a prayer?
No, I'd be honored to do that. You bet.
Thank you.
In our Eastern Pomo language. O Hadika. Ina haba okma. We hinto napo. O Creator, we look to you with our arms raised. We ask you to bless our Indian people. We kauke and bless all other people. We kus in our kawi. Bless our little babies and toddlers. We Dakara and Butchike and bless our elder uh, women and men. And we our Duckats and Shayla, bless our young adult people. And we Ach and Gach bless our grandmothers and grandfathers. We Soy and Shah and Ka and Bisha, bless our food, our water, our bread, our fish, and our meat. And Wea Ma'ea, bless the land that we stand on. And Wea Ma, bless me and bless all those that are here today. Oh,
Thank you, Ron.
you bet.
Yeah, so let's open up with let's open up with some introductions. How you doing today? Who are you? What you hope to get out of this. We don't want to spend too much time there because we've done that before. And we never got to talking about what was on the agenda. And I'm gonna pull up the old agenda today because I still want to go off of what we were discussing. And so that's what we're gonna do. I don't have an updated agenda for today, but I will update it today. So let me see here.
I think it's been a weird week for everybody, Raven, so don't worry about it. You're doing an amazing job,
Thank
and
you.
I'll take the old agenda any day. No worries. I think we all know what we're doing here and all that good stuff, but I've had a weird week too. So I was late this morning too. Hey. I do want to say good morning to Mr. Cole. Good to see you, sir.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, 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 good.
Good to see you, Randall.
See you too. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Hello, Kathleen.
Hi, honey. Good to see you.
Same here.
All right. So yeah, I'll pull up the old agenda. Who else wants to introduce themselves and check in or just share what you hope to gain out of this committee? Whoever would like to go next.
I'll go next. I would like to learn more. When you and I first met, we talked about a little bit of our differences and stuff, and my heritage is completely different. So yeah, we live in an amazing area with all the different tribal history and everything. So I would like to learn a lot more about, how to be more aware of what's around us, because it's, I've lived here almost 20 years. I'm not going anywhere. And it's just, there's so much around us. And the spiritual aspect of things too, always is amazing to me. Randall and I went to school together 10 years ago over at Yuba, and we started his Coltrane Transformation Together Foundation to help other people. Hi, Diana. Diana was going to make my wedding cake.
Good morning.
Anyway, thank you, Raven, for being a committee chair and taking ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really awesome to see people when they like there's people can go for years and years and decades without noticing oppression, right? And so like when someone comes to that realization or that light bulb goes off or that something's going on, and they want to know, that's really important because we're all each other's allies, and we all from all walks of life, we need to come together and move forward, you know, with what we're dealing with. And a lot of times we don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know what it looks like. And a lot of times I say, you know, like microaggressive behaviors or racism, biases, they're like cunning. They as soon as we come up with a solution, they like change shape, and they just like, it just evolves with time. And it's like, I thought we had a solution for that, but then we find out we need to create a stronger solution or a different solution. So being here, we're allowed to talk about those things, right? And we're able to talk about what we do know, what we don't know, what we hope to gain, what we hope to learn about, you know, how we can be build this initiative in our own communities around the lake, come together. It's needed everywhere, right, around the lake. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Kathy. Let's see, who'd like to share next? Who'd like to share who they are and what they hope to gain?
I'm Patty Chandler. I'm new. Kim asked me to jump on this morning because she got busy. So I'm with Redwood Community Services. I am specifically at the Nest. That is the program I do at this time.
All right, thank you.
I'll go next. And thank you so much for saying all of that, Raven, because I do. So my name is Layla Romero. I'm the Health Equity Coordinator at Lake County Health Services. And one of the things that I have experienced in my 4 years of living in Lake County, moving here from New York, is a lot of people will say that kind of thing doesn't happen here. And like, you know, when we're talking about bias, prejudice, discrimination, and but I mean, I don't know if they're thinking of like outright interpersonal, like racism or homophobia, but yeah, the microaggressions are rampant. And so one of the things that I'm hoping to do is, you know, spread awareness, get people to know that we lack psychological safety in Lake County. That, you know, talking to people, I spoke to a woman who doesn't feel safe slow dancing with her wife in Lake County, or, you know, my coworker doesn't feel comfortable holding his husband's hand, or, you know, we hear stories of racial profiling from law enforcement here in Lake County. So that's my goal, is to spread awareness, talk about it. You know, most people that I've worked with aren't comfortable talking about racism and bias. And so, you know, how are we going to address anything if we can't even talk about it?
Thank you for sharing that. That's so good that you're able to share that. This is the place to share that. And the reason, like how you stated, like some people are stating, you know, there's none of that here, right? And you know, sometimes I reflect on that when those comments, you know, like it's not happening here. And it's true. It's not happening there. It's not happening in their world, right? In their world, whatever, how big or small it is, that's not happening to them. That's not happening from their perspective, right? And so to like step outside that and be able to look outside that and say, if that person says it's happening to them, it probably is, right? That's it's against the dominant norm to believe somebody's narrative, right? Because we are told that the dominant narrative is what matters, right? I mean, our whole system is developed that way. If the system says it and it's always been working, then it's always going to work, right? And so when someone says the system is not working for me, someone else is going to say, oh, yes, it is, right? So we have to be those advocates that say, if the system's not working for them, then maybe it's not, right? Why is it not working for you, right? We can't tell our clients to oh, the system's just fine. The system is working for you, right? We got to understand, like, can you please let me know, like, how is the system not working for you? Like, what do you mean by that? A long time ago, I was taught that when we are given tools, it's our choice to make weapons out of those tools or to make use them as tools, right? So you could use those tools to do good, or you can use those tools as weapons. And so like when we're educating ourselves or each other and things like that, we got to be very careful in, you know, what our world is like and how are we presenting that world to everyone else, right? Do you leave a space to include somebody from another race? Do you leave a space to include someone that speaks a different language, right? Or a different walk, right? Do you have a space for that? Because there should be that space all around us, right? There should be a space for everyone around us. And sometimes that's not the case when we have, it's a norm for people to share like, we're not going to do that, right? Or we're not going to do that. And there's red tape with everything. And there's no this and no that. And that like puts somebody in a spot to where they don't feel brave enough to stand up and say, hey, you know, like we need to focus on this. Or this needs to be focused on. Like, I'm pretty sure every one of you that are on here today have an initiative of your own, probably something you've been thinking about for a long time that you want to see come to pass, right? And this is the place we want to do this is the place we want to talk about those things and make them happen. Not just talk about them, but put them in writing, propose it. And one of the things that I have brought up before, and one of the reasons why I'm glad that we have everyone here is because I do want to write a grant to support our African American community and develop a peer support center, an African American peer support center. And I think it's really important. And so that's one of the things that I want to do to start on a proposal of that. And I'm gonna pull up my agenda. I know more of you are gonna check in a second, but let me share my agenda real quick. Okay, here. And so I changed it because we're gonna work on the same thing for now. Someone's in the waiting room, 1 second. Can you guys see the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
maybe I will. Okay. Okay. So, oops. Okay, first I want to do a land acknowledgement to our local tribes. So we are on the Eastern Pomo lands. So this in Lake County is located on northern and eastern Pomo lands. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but this is eastern and northern Pomo lands, and there's a number of different native languages around here. And one of our elders that he spoke like 5 different languages. Ron Newen, they're very close. And he spoke, I don't know, maybe even more languages than that. And he knew Eastern and Northern Pomo languages. Right, Ron? Am I correct on that?
I'm not sure who you're referring to, but yeah,
Thomas
we also
Brown.
have, oh, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Southeastern, which is Elam, Koi, in that area on the other end of the lake. And then there's Miwok, Wapo, and Patwin, and Wintun that all are intermarried here from up on the Grindstone area all the way down here and from Cache Creek over this way. And so a lot of Scotts Valley people have relatives in Cache Creek area, which is Patwin and Wintun also. So Lake County has quite a bit different languages in here besides Northern Homo and Wailaki and Yuki. So it's a real conglomerate of tribal influences through here with their language and their time and events in the past history. It's all very interesting and makes up such an awesome place that we live in.
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. So it's important. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if just like put that little hand emoji if you do recognize land acknowledgements, if you know what that is. If you don't, you can just speak up and say, I don't know what that is. So throughout California, or probably internationally, but I'm gonna speak for us in California, like throughout the educational systems and some of the counties, people are offering a land acknowledgement. So whose land are you on, right? People are doing that, and that's becoming a norm, and thank God it is, right? Because and some people think it's like we're trying to take over or something. I really don't know, but it's more to recognize the bloodshed that the land that we're walking on has bloodshed. There was genocide there, and we don't want to forget that. We want to have honor and respect for the ancestors that came before us and that have lost their lives so that we could speak up and speak out today, right? All of our ancestors, you know, that have been allies, that have been enslaved, all our ancestors that have shed blood here in these lands. So that's important. I usually have a number that I share with you guys, but I'm not going to share that today. Maybe I'll put it in the agenda. There's a number. I don't know how old it is because I haven't checked on the number for a minute, but I do know it takes you to a website. It's called, I'll put it in the agenda and see if it pops up in the agenda. You guys can check it out. Look at me.
Oh, was that thing you talked about last time, Raven? That was like the number that we texted or something? Was that?
Yeah. You want to share about that?
I just remember that you were telling us there was a phone number, and it worked for some of us and it didn't work for some of us. And you can text it, and I don't remember specifically. Now I feel dumb for bringing it up.
I think here, let me put that in the chat. I do have, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. I have two links. So I'll just do the links instead of the number because the number wasn't working for some people.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, someone put, okay, Leela, you put one, Native Land, California, or Home on Native Land. That's awesome. Thanks for the link. So there's that one, land.
Does it say land.code?
Yeah,
Okay.
or anchorage.org.
It's pretty cool. Don't we have like 20 tribes, I think, like in our area? Because I've been on a lot of the RCS trainings lately, and they're doing the land acknowledgements before every training. And
They might be talking about, like the district or the region or something.
well, he
Really
mentioned like the Miwok and the Pomo and the Eastern and the Nagato, I think, but there's a map with like all of the different tribals in our county. I think, aren't there like 20 of them?
It's for our county. It's also for the other counties that we serve.
right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
might be a
Skylar's been
regional
sharing
thing.
that map. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
So our cultural competency final plan was extended. So let me share my screen again. So we have a cultural competency plan for California, international actually. And so this is how DHCS and Mental Health Services Act, they joined together and they accepted this initiative. So this initiative, the Cultural Competency Plan, was written by a Hispanic woman in Southern California. The Cultural Competency Plan started in 2011, I believe. And so since then, it's been, you know, growing. People have been taking it into their own agencies, their own organizations, and implementing this plan. DHCS also has implemented this plan through compliance. Not everybody knows about it, right? Not everybody, like, we all get trainings here and there and everything, but not everybody has the same exact trainings. So I'd like to say that if you want to look up cultural competency plan for California, that might give you a good understanding of the cultural initiative that's supposed to be taking place in all of our agencies and organizations, which is inclusive. And so that's something good to look at. But we had an extension here at Behavioral Health. We had a cultural competency plan extension to update the numbers. Basically, we wanted to make sure they were better than what we've seen. Kind of like we were a little surprised with the outcome of the numbers before. We were just surprised, like, why does it look like this? And so we wanted to make sure we had we knew what we were doing, right? And so in the cultural competency survey that we were putting out to other agencies and our partners to see how they were serving clients, a lot of the cultural competency survey, a lot of it was just demographics. I researched that cultural competency survey and found that they utilized demographics in Canada. They didn't really have, I'm not talking about their cultural competency plan in Canada. I'm talking about, I said, who operates on just demographics and calls it a cultural competency plan? So I was able to track that back, and there was a agency or whatever in Canada that was just using demographics. And so I brought it to our team's attention, and I shared that this was not culturally humble, culturally sensitive to just look at someone's demographics and ask them, you know, just abrupt questions, and that was it. Like, there's a lot more that goes into play with the cultural sensitivity, you know, and cultural competency plan. A lot of that language has been changed to cultural humility. But when discussing this with some elders, they were like, no, we want the word cultural competency because we've been working on it for years and years. Like, so we don't want that word to change. And so it was a little different from what we're trying to do, like with our generation, versus, or whatever, with their generation. They have a different understanding of what that word competency means. So, and this is inclusive for all walks of life. It's not just for Indigenous people or just for a certain type of people. And it's not for us to speak synonymously about what words or vocabulary we used in the past. It's to kind of change our thinking about what inclusiveness means, right? That was homework we've talked about before. What does inclusive mean? What does diversity mean, right? I made a statement that inclusion and assimilation are not the same thing. Inclusion does not mean, oh, include everybody, right? And throw them in a melting pot and everybody has a chance at life the same way, right? Inclusion is when we include all walks of life and their differences, right? And we honor them in their walk of life. Thanks. And so there's that difference. Assimilation is when you want someone to be like you, right? You want them to have your same set of values, your same whatever it is you go by, right? but that's not what we're trying to do either, is make people do things my way, right? I want to learn about your way, right? I want to learn about how you do things. I want to learn about what your family's like. I want to learn about what your cultural background's like, right? It's about being interested in the next person, and making that a norm. So whether you're by yourself or you're with family or friends, you treat people as equals no matter what, whether in public or in private, right? You want to be able to be genuine with somebody, whether you're in public or not, right? So changing our norms, that's huge. I get a lot of that out of the cultural competency plan, so that's really cool, and I think everyone can. um so yeah, so I'm not clear on if my compliance officer had turned in our final document yet, but I think she did. We had, like I said, we had some adjustments with the cultural competency plan to make it workable for our community. And so the goal one was, how do we identify the need for an inclusion plan in the workforce? Does anyone have any comments on that question? Does anyone have any answers for this? So the question is, how do we identify the need for an inclusion plan in the workforce?
Raven, this is Ron.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a few comments on that because that has been a topic in our Pathfinders group for many years. It's because we know the very beginnings of tribal health because our uncles and our aunties were the ones who got it started. And their whole purpose of because we had such a dire need for addressing a child's not making it, from birth. They were dying at such a high rate. We were losing a lot of our babies, and so not only that, it was a neglect from the community to actively help in tribal birth rates, which was the lowest in the country, and also the healthcare system was not up to par to meet our tribal people because our tribal people respond different. And so there was a cultural awareness that was not in place on how to effectively meet tribal people. And that still goes on today because we get immersed with all the other nationalities and cultures because it turns again from a health and mental health aspect to a money-making aspect where because when I say they, I mean the medicine culture, it reflects on they're doing good or bad according to the money they generate, and instead of the effectiveness in the community. And so it seems like each time when it came to tribal needs, we were always not a priority. And so we continued to flounder. And most Native people, if you don't know them, we were hurt, murdered, discriminated against blatantly and openly, legally because of the laws of the land here in California. And so there was in our grandparents a head bowed type of attitude because we had no voice, no representative. We were left out on our own to fend for ourselves as a people. And so we don't voice a lot of the problems that we have or needs. We endure. And so things go unhealed, and that has transferred to the next generation down and so forth to where we are now. And so with in the 60s, some of the voices were ignited again in the Native world, and we started to have a voice and started to assert. And from that time, it's been a struggle to today, still a struggle to have our voices heard and to have our needs met. And so, I just wanted to bring that point. Even our own people, Native people here in Lake County, don't know how that generational trauma has affected them. And they are influenced by their parents and grandparents. And they do things that has that taste or that tint upon us. And so we are still transferring that to our kids now, in our communities, in our family structure, in our family relationships. And it's not very healthy. And so, if the organizations that are supposed to help don't understand that, then they'll continue to say they're doing well because of numbers or because of money, and still miss the very need that the whole health issue thing here was put together in the beginning. It's for Native people being trained to heal Native people. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Ron. Are there other comments on how do we identify the need for an inclusion plan in the workforce? Have you guys noticed a need in your community? In your agency? Go ahead.
My name is Randall Cole. I'm from the Coltrane Transformation Station. When we talk about culture competency, we also have to consider all subcultures. We have a lot of subcultures in Lake County. You have a lot of interracial couples, a lot of mixed couples, and they're usually missed when the numbers come, because who's counting those? No one. Who are their peers? No one. So we need to think about that when we talk about culture competency. We need to cover all the dynamics, all the subcultures, because you got interracial. You got natives married to Afro Americans. You got white married to Afro Americans. You got interracial couples that our society, that if someone is interracial and it involves black, they automatically consider the other person as being black. And in my family, I have interracial. I got the best of both worlds. I got white and black, and native. So those numbers get missed. Every time Lake County is counting numbers, they never talk about the subculture. We have a lot of subculture. We have a lot of Afro Americans in Lake County. Yeah, but they overlook. I mean, the last numbers they polled, I want your meeting, Afro Americans weren't even on the list.
Yeah,
When we talk about the cultures or the races that's in Lake County, they wasn't even on the list. So they missed that subculture altogether. And you're just not eliminating Afro American when it's a mixed race. You're eliminating the other culture too. So we have to consider that. Everybody. I mean, across the board, when we talk about in the healthcare field, people don't understand that the word justice is not talking about court. It's talking about the allocations of services across the board to everyone. If you got a program that's is supporting that subculture, we need to invest in that. Otherwise, people are falling behind. Our county needs to invest in the subculture. If we're going to be lifting up, if we're going to lift up the culture, we need to lift up everybody. You're going to leave something behind. And that has been done. I've been here for 29 years. I've lived in Lake County for 29 years. I've had a relationship with it for 65. I've been coming up here when I was a kid. My grandmother is full-blooded Native. So my mother brought me up here when I was 5, and she would dance with the natives because she's in her blood. But do anybody recognize that? No. When you get to talk about my native culture, it kind of get overlooked. But we need to consider the subcultures that's in Lake County. We have a lot of them. We have a lot of people that we leaving behind. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Randall. That's so true. When, you know, speaking from an indigenous lens, like there's so many tribal peoples that are unrecognized. They don't get services like some tribes do, right? And so for me to like be able to provide support for all walks of life, no matter what, that's like the most important thing to me in my life. That it's to be able to relate to all walks of life. Like I try to relate to my allies, to my brothers and sisters. Like that's my job every day. When I get up in the morning, I want to be able to interrelate to people, right? Not cut people off or not put myself in a box or put them in a box. I want to be able to see what similarities we have. Along with my healthy boundaries, of course, right? Because sometimes that gets scary. We're like, oh, I'm just like letting down my boundaries too much, right? Or I'm getting too personal at work. Like I can't share those things, right? So it's good to have some strong boundaries as well. And at the same time, know where your boundaries are coming from too. Like what's operating those boundaries, right? Like where's that perspective coming from? Am I operating off of being fear-based? Or am I operating off being inclusive? Am I operating off like my recovery base, right? Sometimes I forget not everyone's in recovery. So I'll just use myself as an example. I'm in recovery, right? I got 9 years and 8 months in recovery. And I forget sometimes that not everyone's in recovery. So what works for me is not going to work for some people that are struggling, right? I have to take a different approach. I have to look at a harm reduction approach where I'm saying, you know what, maybe smoking marijuana doesn't work for me, right? But maybe it does for that person, and whatever is whatever, right? I still need to accept them for who they are as a person. That's me being inclusive, like saying, hey, you know what? You're still welcome. You're still welcome. Like, why would I exclude someone because they're smoking marijuana? Or why would I exclude someone so I got to think about those things. Not everybody operates off of where I operate off of, but also noticing when we're operating off of fear. That's important. We can go through our whole lives being scared of something that other shoe to drop, right? Or we could be scared of something that's, like, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? And a lot of times that's why we shelter our children, right? Or we're like, you can't hang out with them, or you can't hang out with him, or like we get really like scared, fear-based, right? So we got to understand that and see how to work through that and see what we need to do about that too, because that gets in the way sometimes. Do you guys have any more comments? I know there's some of you that haven't said anything yet. So we'll be here till 12. So at 11 o'clock in 15 minutes, we'll take a little break. We'll take like a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of like talk about actions and more. We'll go through this agenda and we'll talk about some action steps and things like that. I know some of you that have been here for a while, you're like, oh, we did that already, right? I know, I'm sorry, you guys. Yes, I am having a rough week. I started work early this morning. I got to work it was like 7 something, and had an early start and been busy. And so I want to keep this space, right? And as long as we can keep this space. I want to do some intercultural work with all of you, you know, to where we can develop, you know, like some type of like, where we could set up a booth, all of us can set up an intercultural booth and be able to represent like interculture or something, kind of like what Randall said, you know, or the intersectionality, like all of us, right? We can create that dynamic. That would be really beautiful if we could do something like that, you know, and get like a, you know, like a logo or something. I don't know. Let's see. So any more comments on how do we identify the need for inclusion plan in the workplace? Do you guys see diversity? Do you see inclusion in your own workplace?
Including the voice of everybody in the workplace.
I couldn't hear you, James. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Including the voices of all the people in the workplace, allowing everybody to have a voice, have a seat at the table, have the ability to speak their truth, their reality, you know, without judgment and disassociation because it's different from the norm.
Thank you, James. Yep. Go ahead, Megan.
I think one of the ways that we can definitely identify that we do need this is by looking at county leadership. And that's not to say, I'm not saying that somebody didn't earn the role that they have. I think that we have some amazing people in leadership. That is wonderful. But I also think that off the top of my head, most of county leadership in particular is white. And I don't think that, as Layla kind of mentioned, I don't think that that is indicative of our actual population demographics. And I think that really speaks to how structural, how it's important to really look at the structural ways that there's privilege that's not being acknowledged.
Thank you for that, Megan. That's something I do bring up, like when people ask me to speak in different places and stuff, and they're like, how can we help? You know, how can we help? Like, how can our agency help? And I'm like, well, probably diverse leadership, right? Because if you want somebody, like just say everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a story, a background, how they got to where they are. If you see somebody like yourself struggling, what do you want them to see in leadership? Like if you've seen somebody just like you, right? And they're struggling, they come through the doors and they're just like you, and you remember being in that place, right? What they're gonna need is somebody like you. They're gonna need to be able to trust someone like you because that's a reflection of you. And so sometimes it's important to welcome other backgrounds to the table and be like, hey, can you take over this leadership role? Because I want your people to see you and I want you to be able to see your people. I want, you know, this for that type of background, right? Some like, just look at the domestic violence shelter. Their background is domestic violence, right? And they help people that have struggled with domestic violence. Maybe not all those women have been through that, right? Hopefully not, right? That's horrible. But I'm pretty sure they have people there with lived experience that do a great job. And so sometimes that needs to be recognized. So when I do speak somewhere, I'm like, hire Native people. When people are like, hey, what does your Native culture need from us, or your whatever, right? And I'm like, hire Native people, hire diverse leadership, hire all walks of life, hire, right? And there's that new initiative out. It's called I'm pretty sure some of you heard about it. It's called California Jobs First or something. And that's about like who is willing to hire diverse populations, right? They have grants for that. And I know that there's a lot of like, oh, well, they didn't get there because they worked hard for it. There's a lot of those myths that you hear. They're myths that, well, it's an affirmative action, or it's you know, you hear those things, and it's insulting because I tell you, to get to where I'm at, I've worked a lot harder. I've had to fight fight battles. I've practiced perseverance all my life. And if you understand that, please just send out a little one of those little raising hand emojis or whatever. I want to see how many of you, right? You know, you'd be surprised. Like I have heard within the last 6 months, I have heard someone say, I've never had to persevere for anything in my life. And so I said, okay. And so when I spoke, I said, that's the story of my life. It's the story of my life. I have never had anything really handed to me. So I just want to be clear on that. When we're thinking, having those thinking patterns, right? When we're having those thinking patterns like, oh, they're getting ahead because of this, right? Or they're getting ahead because of that. Sometimes that's in our own world, right? In our own world, we think that. When we talk like, oh, they're getting a free ride or something, it's never been a free ride. It's just that, like, how, what if you got a little car that only goes 5 miles per hour, right? And then you got somebody else, they have a car that goes 120 miles per hour, but they both got a car, so that's all good, right? That's just like me masking it off and saying, hey, they both got cars, so what's the problem? Well, we know the problem. We know who's going to win the race, right? Someone with a car that's goes 120 miles per hour, or the car with that only goes 5 miles per hour. Is that car with that goes 5 miles per hour? Is that car going to have a chance? Right. So, like, when we change our thinking patterns and we change those thoughts of like, oh, well, it's this way because this is the way it is. Oftentimes those are the norms that we hear, right? And we just want to be accepted. We want to be accepted by society. We just want to be like everybody else. So we're like, oh, well, that's what's being said. I better jump on the bandwagon, or I better jump on that. Well, really, we need to like discern what we're following. We need to discern our own. We need to really take a look at our own spirit, right? And our own soul, and see how we want to liberate our own spirit, our own soul. Like, what do we want to be remembered as when we're, going to meet our maker or whatever? Like, what do we want to represent? Because it's going to take a lifetime to build that spirit up and build that who you want to be. So it's important for me to look at my biases. It's important for me to look at my privileges. I may think, oh, well, because I'm educated, all natives have a chance, right? That's not true. That's not true. I've tried to advocate for our people, and I've been told, well, Raven, you picked up your self by your bootstraps, and you got a better life. You did that on your own. And I'm like, no, I didn't do that on my own. Never did it on my own. It took all of you to get me where I'm at. Without any of you, I wouldn't have got where I'm at. So then within 2 weeks, I think I had 2 people tell me that. And then another person was saying, I don't know why people speak up and talk. It's not going to do anything anyways. Well, I don't know why people talk and they're just getting themselves in trouble. And I was like, oh, because I'm the opposite. I speak up, right? And cause good trouble sometimes, try not to, but it happens. And so like, I was like, man, they got this impression that I have gotten to where I'm at because of my own self. Like, I picked up myself by my bootstraps and I just went for it. It like, how many roadblocks I had to hit into, how many brick walls I've had to hit into just to get there. It's been rough. Okay. And so when I am privileged enough to say I have a degree, right? I'm privileged enough to say that. My elder will tell me, you got a PhD, you're pile high deep. That's what he would tell me. And he'd be like, you start off with the BS because you're BSing, right? And you got a master's because you're a master at it, right? About BSing or whatever. And I'm like, okay. But it kind of brings me back down to size and reminds me I'm human, right? I'm human. And that's what I need to represent, right? I need to represent being human and know that education is a privilege for some of us, right? We have a lot of brothers and sisters out there that can't even pass that mental barrier to think they're worth enough to even get an education, because all they're thinking about is survival, right? Some of them are still using outhouses or trying to get drinking water, or some of them they don't have anything, right? So just because I'm privileged enough to have a job, or I'm privileged enough to have an education, does not mean that everybody is. Oppression is oppression. So do you guys have any comments on what was said already, or do you want to answer the question about how do we identify the need for inclusion and inclusion plan in the workplace? Do you feel you have inclusion in your workplace?
Well, I was just thinking, excuse me, Reverend, is what happens when, so you gave the car, metaphor or whatever. So what happens when both Corvettes both pull up to the light and they're both red, they both go 120 miles an hour. They both have the same performance. They both are basically exactly the same except for the cultural difference. But the other person wins versus the other person. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here in the group, is because I want to be equal to any and everything. I don't really want to have a difference or a privilege or any of the above. And again, if we both pull up in the same red Corvette, we both got the same hairstyle, we both got the, whatever it may be, what is wrong with the world? Why can't we be the same? Why can't we approach the same promotions without issues? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? So I loved your metaphor, but at the same time, I'm like, what happens when we pull up to that light and we both in the same car and the other person gets chosen over me? So it show inclusion. What inclusion?
Yeah, so like just say, like when we have thinking patterns, right? Our thinking patterns are like, we're just say my thinking pattern is based in fear, right? So my thinking pattern is based in fear, and I'm automatically thinking about the negative, right? I guess it's a scientific fact that we often think about more negative stuff than positive stuff. So we have to like retrain our brain to think about positive. Oh, we got the king of positivity right here, Randall. He could speak on that. But like, we often have to shift our brain to think positive, to a growth mindset, right? So we don't default into a fixed mindset. It's a similar thing, like having the same car, being able to say, you know what, that's not the norm anymore. Saying, oh, well, they both got the same car, but they're different, right? It's about saying, you know what, both of them are my sisters and they're both different, and we gotta give them both a chance. They're at the same space, right? To advocate for that is changing my thinking pattern. To look at it different is changing my thinking pattern. To refuse to think like that as an individual is changing my pattern, right? Like if I'm refusing to think that way, then I better think about the opposite, right? Like if I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to give it to her, it's an instinct, or it's like based off of fear. I'm so used to the dominant culture, right? Getting everything or their needs met. It's just such a norm to like be like, oh yeah, they got it coming. They should get that, right? Taking a step back and saying, you know what? Not this time. Like this is how we have to create something else here. Like not this time. So can we do that? Can I challenge all of you to do that at some point today? Advocate for your brother or your sister at least once today, or advocate for yourself to step outside the norm today. One time. See what it looks like, see what it feels like. I know somebody that has advocated for, intersectionality, right? Diversity. And they didn't get hit once with the verbal comment of that's biased, but hey, it's not, because no one notices it, right? There's those biases that are not, they're subconscious, they just happen, right? Or whatever. Well, when those things happen, you got a person that's advocating, they're like, hey, that's not right. And then the person comes back with, why is that not right? What do I have to do different? you teach me, you school me, you do this and that. And then they tell their friends. And because it's such a norm, all the people jump on the bandwagon against what's right, against what needs to happen, against the healing. And then you got this one person that's an ally, an advocate, that's now outed. They're outed because they're speaking for what, for healing, for inclusion, right? And so they're outed. And it doesn't matter if they have blonde hair, black hair, blue eyes, brown eyes. We all face that, being outed when we stand for this. Go ahead, Leela.
Hi, yeah, what Montink is that? Sorry, am I pronouncing that right? Montink?
Montanique.
Good
Oh,
enough.
oh,
Everybody calls me
Montanique.
Monty.
Okay, Montanique. So it reminded me of, I think I read an article about hiring bias in hiring practices where they, sent the same exact resume to the same exact corporations, but with different names. And so a name like like Enrique Lopez wasn't getting hired with the same resume as like a John Adams, and so it's showing the bias in our hiring practices. And that's something that, like, we, again, like Raven was saying earlier, we need to be looking at our own biases in ourselves and in our organizations, in our like in everything. And so I think that's, a huge step in having better inclusion in our organizations. And even again, what Megan was saying, like we don't have diverse leadership. And even if one of our organizations can say like, yeah, we have diverse staff, if you like, look at where your BIPOC or diverse staff are in the organization, like, are they like boots on the ground, or are they higher up? Do they have say? Are they comfortable to bring up their issues? I know I was in a meeting once where they were talking about uplifting your BIPOC staff. But I know personally in like my organization, we don't even feel comfortable with like talking about our backgrounds or our ethnicities and how they affect how we feel in our organization, or how much or how little our voices are heard. And so yeah, just all that to say that like we need to like start talking about it, and it's really uncomfortable for a lot of folks. But and like I know personally I get uncomfortable making other people uncomfortable, which is something I have to work on. And but otherwise nothing is gonna ever get any better.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Leila. I'm glad somebody's on the same page as me, because it's definitely different. And I think where it's going super wild and rapid at right now is in these schools. Our school systems, my 11-year-old and my 5-year-old have experienced way too much racism to be 11 and 5, especially at a school that my 21-year-old graduated from. You know what I mean? So it's just getting ridiculous. That's all I can say. So I'm here for an enormous amount of reasons, and super glad to be learning from everyone what could possibly help me move through and pass all of that. So thank you.
Yeah, so at this time, we'll take like a 10-minute break, come back at 11:13, and then we'll kind of we'll try to finish discussing everything on the agenda. And then, yeah, all right. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm going to share this document that I just created for us here. Let me see. So this is something that I just threw together right now based on our conversations and what was in the chat. This was a question: wasn't affirmative action struck down in colleges and workplaces? So can anyone answer that? So from what I know, I don't think it has been struck down. What I think what has happened is it's changed into different language. And so through different languages, it's a good thing for our people that are advocates out there and people that are, are moving towards, a inclusive, dynamic workforce, agencies, organizations, communities, individuals. And so I think it's changed to the DEI for some reason. I'm not sure if it's the same, but I think they have similarities. Does anyone know what DEI stands for? Go ahead, Leela.
Hi, so DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. But also just quick Google search. It was said that the Supreme Court gutted affirmative action, effectively ending race-conscious admissions. And I'm just kind of scrolling through the article now, and if I see anything, I'll come back to the group.
Year? Is that from this year, the article?
2023. Okay. This article is from June 29, 2023.
So with that being said, right, I think that it's like I said, I think if we look more into like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the cultural competency plan for California, a lot of the language that was in the affirmative action has been placed into these initiatives. So if you guys want to research that, take a look at it or whatever. We also have some cultural stuff coming up too. And that's something I'm hoping to get with the community, our committee here, is to start developing our own calendar of events, and writing up grants and proposals and things like that. That's what I'm hoping for this committee to do. And I gathered from our conversation here, this is what I gathered: intercultural awareness initiative. So that's something we could start proposing also, so that we can be inclusive with everybody. Does that sound okay if we start working on something like this? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm down with it. I'm down to help out with this. It's all good.
Thanks, Jeremy.
What's up,
Yeah,
Randall?
I think it's a good idea.
Right. So I will make sure you guys get a copy of this full document. Go ahead.
I think we need an approach, and I'm quite sure this will be down the line. The first 5 is so important. The first 5 of a children's life is so important, and that's what things are getting crossed up. They're not teaching the proper things to young people with regards to culture in the first 5 years of their life. And that's supposed to be a norm. When I was going up in school, you know what I mean? It was like share, get along. Well, we don't teach that stuff anymore in school. Everybody is against everybody. So I think we need to go back. You need some type of team that goes into the school that with diversity, from every race, every culture, to go in and let people know it's okay. It's okay to work together. It's okay to do things together. You have more power when we work together, because that's missing in the schools. Teaching the kids the first five is so important, even when it comes to substance use. And with all things of walks of life, the first five, because see, I was damaged in my first 5 years. Because you have to consider I was born with the Brown versus Board of Education time. And I was in school, they didn't teach me anything, even though the law had been passed. So and I didn't know any better. So I didn't wake up and realize what had happened to me until I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old and couldn't spell 18 words. So I was damaged. America had damaged me in those first 5 years. So it's very important that whatever we do culturally, it has to be start to be introduced to children in their first five. They need to start getting along with other races, other cultures. They need to be able to identify that we're all human before anything else. So the first five is very important.
Totally agree with you, Randall. You know, the thing that's been happening the last few years that we've seen, where we've seen articles about they're taking things out of history books. Well, you can try to take them out, but it does not erase the facts of things that have happened, you know? So, you know, in terms of like, you know, the native culture and the stuff that you talk about in your book, Randall, and things like that, it's important that, you know, that saying, you know, you're going to repeat history if you don't know it exists. So why wipe things away? It's counterintuitive and it doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I think
People
there are
don't
some
know.
people. Right. Go ahead, Randall.
People don't know that when it comes to Afro Americans, there was a guy named Willie Lynch that came to Virginia in 1712, and he came with the economic plan. I want you to get that, an economic plan on how to make a slave. Okay, well, that plan went to the Native American race too. The same concept, to divide and conquer, and teach children how to battle against their parents, battle against their sisters, battle against their brothers, fathers against sons, mothers against sisters. This was planned. It was called the Willie Lynch Papers in 1712. He came to the shores of Virginia in 1712, and it had papers to teach people, landowners, on how to make slaves. And, you know, I included those papers in my book, and it's horrific, the history that our country have covered up when it comes to Afro-Americans and Native Americans. So education is very important, and I believe it should start along with the first five.
Thank you, Randall. And you said what papers were those? It was the economic plan.
Willie Lynch. The Willie Lynch Papers.
Woody Lynch.
1712. That's where the word lynching was derived from.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand when you, like, you know, as a young man growing up, when I go into the store and you see little old ladies pull their purse close to them, it's because they've been trained to do that. Mm-hmm. They've been trained not to trust the Afro-American. They've been trained not to trust different races. You know what I mean? We got to get away from that, because that's not so. It's not true. We have to point people in the right direction. Leaders do not take people in dark direction. Leaders take people in the light, in the right direction. And we have a bad habit of going in the wrong direction. Look at our country today. Right. Look at the separation that we have. That's become people not speaking up. I don't mean go out on the street. I don't mean go out on the street and protest. I mean find an auditorium, get a platform, and speak.
I want to jump in, Randall. I just wanted to say I really appreciate your perspective. I miss working with you so much. Your what you said about teaching it in schools, and when I was in school, we were taught to embrace our differences. you know, to love the
Yes.
differences between everybody. Everybody's culture is different, and we should all learn about each other's culture, and we should embrace those differences. And then I hit my early 20s, and it seemed like the whole world changed its mind. And I'm like, yeah, so you started saying all the things you said, and I was just like, oh my God, Randall, I love listening to you talk. Thank you for your perspective on that, because I love it.
Well, thank you for having an ear for me. Please, thank you very much.
So I could, here, I'll put my number in the chat too, my information. I don't know if everybody has it or whatever. But I'll put my information in the chat so that you guys can reach out to me about any of these things anytime you want. Hopefully this cultural committee here can develop some type of training for other professionals, for clients, for our youth, for the schools, agencies, organizations, community. And we can do some events and things like that. We could start being noticed or recognized in the community, and developing this initiative, intercultural awareness initiative. I like that. How many of you guys agree with that language, intercultural awareness initiative proposal?
Love that.
Awesome.
Very informative.
All right, awesome. That's cool. Let's see. I'll make sure you guys get a copy of that paper I was showing you guys. I know it's not much, but it'll kind of remind us of what we're doing. Go ahead, Diana.
I just wanted to introduce myself and just tell everybody on this panel how grateful I am to be here and to be invited here. I work for North Coast Opportunities. I'm the project manager for the New Digs program. And I've only been the project manager for New Digs for about a year. But previously, before that, I've been a case manager for many years and in different kind of modalities. But I've been in Lake County for almost 13, 14 years now. I came from Sonoma County. And I just wanted to say how much I've never been to, never had the opportunity, nor have I been to something like this before. And this just makes me feel like extremely included and extremely grateful. There's a lot of change that I want to be able to make for my program that there hasn't been enough attention to historically. And I just really appreciate the opportunity and being able to hear everybody's vulnerabilities and facts about the fact that Lake County is there's problems in Lake County. There's extreme problems in Lake County. And I think that, you know, when I started my program, I really wanted to be able to run the forefront of making sure that anybody that I brought onto my team knew the difference between equality and equity, and not just the textbook definition, what it means to walk equality and equity. And, you know, for me, this is an amazing opportunity for me to learn, for me to understand, and for me to really just sit back and listen. But it's difficult for me because I am loud, and I am very opinionated on, you know, social advocacy and making sure that I'm doing my part in making sure that we practice equality and equity and understanding. And so I just wanted to say a big thanks for the invite to be included in this, and just a big thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to our group in the Lake County. Go ahead, Leela.
Can I say something? We don't want to beat Lake County up. Let me tell you, when I first got to Lake County, it was much different. Okay? They had judges they call hanging judges and so forth and so forth, you know. Lake County has changed. And I have to give them credit. They have changed. Things are different. You know, now we're being able to spread the understanding about being in a relationship with other people, you know, different races. It's very important to be able to handle that. And Lake County has come a long way. And I'm just saying that they have years ago, when I was here in Lake County in '95, Lake County had me fighting for my life. You know, I know people don't understand that, but they did. You know, in the court system. And matter of fact, I was fighting 53 years to life. I know that's kind of heavy, you know, but it's the truth. in a Lake County courtroom, and I was able to overcome that. And now, I'm part of the court system. I'm a juvenile justice commissioner, so that tells you how far that I've come in Lake County. Before Lake County is pretty heavy, it has changed over the years, and I think we're more friendly and a more diverse county now. Before it wasn't like that. We have changed, and I just want to give Lake County some props that we have changed. We are not the same anymore, and everybody is growing together now. And it wasn't like that before. So I just want to acknowledge that Lake County has changed, and we got some good people in Lake County. Lake County is my paradise, and I accept that. And I love where I live, and I love the people that I live around, the people that I work with, and I love the geographic where I am, and I just love it. You know what I mean? So I love being in this meeting, and we talking about culture and culture competency, because that's a good topic for us to grow on, because we need that in Lake County. I don't want to hijack the meeting, so I'm gonna pass it back over to you, Ray.
Thanks, Randall. You always got good stuff to say, though. So, go ahead, Leela.
I just want to thank Randall for what he was bringing up earlier about the Willie Lynch papers and like the like calculated ways that people were oppressed, and because a lot of the way that people see it nowadays is like, oh, the system just happened, but no, it was intentional. It's oppression doesn't just happen. And so one of my coworkers yesterday was saying that what a phrase that they've been hearing instead of like underserved populations or is what intentionally undervalued, and to really just drive the idea like this didn't happen. These inequities, these prejudices didn't just happen. It's calculated, and even like driving, like divide and conquer, driving wedges between different intentionally undervalued populations. And like even I was in a webinar once talking about racial triangulation, about conservatives driving a wedge between the Black and Asian populations. And so, and they do it on purpose. It's to keep themselves on top, because if we band together, then we can topple the system, because And so I'm so glad to be seeing that here and like talking about allies and advocating for each other. And also, you're absolutely right, Randall. Even in the 4 years that I've been here, when I first brought up equity in 2020, I was shut down. And now I'm the health equity coordinator. And so there is progress, but also just we're never going to stop, trying to improve.
A lot of work to do. A lot of work to do, but we have made progress. And it takes people like us. It takes people like us who are interested in making change. We can't stand on the sideline anymore. We got to get in the game. Take people like us to make change. So I'm happy to be here. I really am.
Thank you so much for all of you being here, and thank you, Randall, for showing up today and being here with us, because your voice, like I when I was reaching out to people asking about I was like, I want to help to create a African American peer support center, right? Because like I seen how much like our peer support centers have helped our communities all around the lake, right? And then I see our African American brothers and sisters struggling still and not having a place to go. Sure. And it hurts me, to be honest, it hurts me. And I'm like, okay, well, I think this is important. And I've heard a lot of people share with me, they're like, make sure it's in Clear Lake. And then they're like, talk to Randall Cole. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And me and Randall go way back too. And you've been there a lot for me, Randall, and I appreciate that. And
your teammate.
Yeah, good seeing you too. And I know we've been wanting to work on projects together, so this is one of them out of the many we're going to work on. So
So Raven,
love it.
Yeah.
Angelina and I were talking yesterday or the day before about kind of something like this, but not really. So I'd like to invite Angelina to join us on this as well too, because I know she's going to have some really good insight as to what you're just now talking about as well, because she's got twin daughters that are going into high school, you know.
Oh, yeah, we've discussed,
and
yeah. We've
yeah,
had
so
some really
she's got some good stuff.
conversation. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, bring her in. I think that the link went out to everybody at Lake County Behavioral Health and our
Okay.
partners and organizations, but we could still like send the word out. Another thing is getting a survey developed within the committee here. Getting a, you know, like maybe it could be the intercultural awareness survey or something like that. You know, like discussing what that's going to look like. Well, there's more to, you know, we'll talk about this more, but intercultural awareness initiative proposal and intercultural survey, we'll just call it that for now.
Sounds good, unless anybody else has a better idea.
Yeah.
Intercultural sounds good.
Right. Okay, there we go, we got that. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to our agenda. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, here we go. So, here. So I think we talked a lot about this question here. Cultural competence, sorry. How do we identify the need for an inclusion plan in the workforce? Create inclusive plan moving forward. So this is what we're gonna call it. It's gonna be the intercultural. I think that's what it's saying. Okay. I'll edit it in a little while. Okay, discuss agenda items, informational and opening. Discussion topics, cultural events in the community, at our centers, other agencies and organizations. I know one of the things that the state and regions are doing right now is they're developing cultural competency trainings and asking how many hours, this was a big question, how many hours do you think is a good amount of hours per year for agencies and organizations to for requirement? So there were some counties in the state that had 8 hours, some had 16 hours requirement for cultural training. So when we talk about our community here, you guys are my people to have those discussions with. So what is a good number, do you guys think? What do you think is a good number to train our community or organizations, partners?
Do you mean like a monthly thing, or like a
year,
like a training,
annual.
like a Zoom thing?
Like an annual training. So like it's part of the cultural competency plan. I can also make sure that we get all of you on today, or the cultural competency plan, so you guys can review it yourselves on your own time.
That'd
So
be good.
that, yeah. And then within the cultural competency plan, we just updated and finalized the one for this year. So we'll be rewriting starting this month. We start rewriting for the next year. For it, and that's what we're going to be working on. Also with that, they're developing each county. It's going to be, it is a requirement, but because no one's like really, it takes some time, I guess, right? And so there's some counties like Fresno County, they have one developed already that is a requirement in their county. And I think they're like 9 hours. So all helping professionals have to have 9 hours a year in cultural training. right? So 9 CEUs, I think.
I like the 9 hours of thing. When you do training, the thing is, when we do training, we never go back and reinforce anything. And the reinforcement is so important. If we did an 8-hour training at some point, maybe 6 months later, whatever, we should go back and reinforce what we learned.
Right.
And get some points and get some ideas. Where did we go wrong? What worked? You know what I mean? Lake County is good for doing training, and we do it one time.
No,
And
that's a
it.
valid point. How many of us have gone to a training and they give you papers and you go back to your desk and it goes in a file and then it's like nothing.
And you don't know what the hell
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's a very valid
So-
point.
Reinforcement training is very important.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So along with the
You
training,
need things to
to have
stick.
like a,
You need things to stick.
go ahead, was someone gonna say something?
No, I was just running my mouth.
Oh. So like maybe having
I do that pretty
a
good.
follow up, like a post survey. And then like asking like a post survey or like a test after the training. Like what, not that difficult, but you know what I mean? Like a test, like when we get trained for things, we also have to do a test. Like what do we,
Well,
Yeah.
there's evaluations.
evaluation or something, right?
Yeah.
Every 2 years, we have to reinforce ethics. Period. How come we don't have some type of schedule like that for culture competency? Where we reinforce it, or we take additional CEs to show that we stand on top of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because otherwise things fall between the cracks. We need to reinforce it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
agreed.
agree. So when we're talking about that, right? We would discuss that with the certifying boards, right? So that's something that I could do is talk to when I go to region and state to talk about cultural competency. We meet like once every, I think it's like there's one I meet once a month. I think it's regional, I meet once a month, and then the state, I think it's every 3 months. So when I speak with them, I can ask them what certifying boards did they use to get their cultural competency trainings vetted by the certification board. I'll work on that.
And how many hours that it's going to take, to be certified. Do we
Right.
get a
So
certificate at
that's
the
a
end
question.
saying that
That's
we competent company?
Yeah, that one's up to us. So like with the collective right now, if you guys want to start throwing numbers in the chat here, then we could kind of get a good idea of how many hours do you think would be good for the community agencies to like have to train requirement like per year. What do you guys think? Just like the ethics, we have to do that like once a year. Some of us, I don't know about everybody, but some of us have to make sure we have ethical training once a year. So.
And Raven, when you're talking about this, I'm thinking you're probably talking about pulling in stuff from the other, like say maybe Fresno, from say
That's correct. Yes.
from the different agencies that say are represented here today, so we can just kind of put it all in and collaborate with it, because there are going to be different things from different agencies and whatnot. So kind of collaboration on it, so we can kind of pull it together. Is that where we're going?
Yeah, so they all have that, like every county
Yeah.
have their cultural competency initiative, right? Their plan. And
Mhm.
they're pulling pieces to operate out of, right? They're
Right.
what's tailored to their communities, right? So when we're talking about that, some of them already have requirements for their county employees,
Mhm.
agencies, partners, and things like that. They have requirements with CEUs. So depending on how many hours we want to do here, I will take that back to those meetings and discuss that, so that when I put in our paperwork for requirements, CE and CEUs, and certification, then we'll have a good number. So if you guys
Yeah,
have
that makes
ideas,
total sense. I mean, just about I mean about the information we're gonna put into it and stuff. We can pull from from the different collaborating agencies as well, right?
so we all operate under the state cultural
Mhm.
community plan, right? And so, yeah, we do have
Okay.
a website for us. I think they're the cultural committee chair. It's a website.
Mhm.
I don't have it offhand right now. But there's a website that we use where we put all of our stuff on, and it's for the chairs of the cultural competency committees, and so we can pull stuff off of there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Very
still
cool.
looking for amount of hours. What do you guys think? 3 hours
You
is
know,
ethics, right? 3 hours a year for ethics. There's 40 hours every 2 years for the substance use certification, right? There's we could do all kinds of stuff, right? So do we want to do this biannually? Do we want to do this annually? What's a good amount of numbers, like hours that we could have people getting trained?
Well, you said
Probably, I
9
would
hours.
say
What's that?
9 hours and break that up, you know, so people don't get bored sitting in meetings.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. 9 hours, break it up in three sessions or something.
Yeah. Maybe 2, you know what? What we should do, look at the melting pot cities, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, where they have really diverse communities, where they have to deal with culture competency, and see what they're doing. That way we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me see if I could find the website right now so that I could share some information with you guys. Let me see here.
I think people looking at and see 9 hours will be like, what? That's a lot. Like maybe 6
9.
hours.
Okay, 9 is a lot, maybe 6.
Yeah, we recently did mental health first aid training, and that was an all-day training. And although it was entertaining and very informative, it was a really long day of educating. And I'm worried about retainment, like Randall was saying. It's like we go and then we get out of there and we don't retain. You know what I mean? And I think Kathleen hit it on the nail. We bring back the folder, and it kind of gets lost in the desk, and you never look back at it.
Right.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that the other thing that's really important too, something I've noticed in a lot of the trainings I've been in lately, is they're like, oh, you know, you got this 3-hour training and all they do is talk at you. And I'm like, you know, I'm one of those people, I need to be able to be engaged, you know, I mean,
Interactive training.
well, yeah, interactive, because if you, I believe that retention happens when people interact, because if you're going to get talked at,
Yes.
you know,
And
So
you know,
maybe
I've been counseling for quite some time, and when I'm training people, when I'm in class, I go back and revisit stuff.
yeah,
There's
right.
no way do I touch a subject and just let it be. I go back and reinforce it because that's where the magic is. That's where you're getting it upstairs in the battlefield of the mind. You go back and reinforce it. You go back and reinforce it. You go back and reinforce it. And then it becomes, you know, you adapt. It becomes your normal homeostasis, how to respond in a certain situation. Because you have visited. It is practice, 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 practice. That is the magic.
Thank you. I see a hand up. Megan Morgan.
So first I'm going to apologize because I just had some technical issues and kind of hopped in and out. So I think I'm on the right page here as I'm talking. But if I'm not, please feel free to interrupt or just say something. I really don't think 9 hours is all that much. And I think it should be broken up potentially quarterly because I think the best way for people to grow and learn is hopefully, I mean, more constant exposure. And yeah, we want interactive things. There's a lot of ways that we can do cultural competency and teach people that are not just lecturing at them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like we
That's
can
really
honor them as well, right? We
Yeah.
can honor them, and that gives it that, like, we can feed them for free and honor them and give them a gift, do a raffle, like invite people to the table to like and we can call it our own, right? This is our cultural competency committee right here, right? And if we want to, we could even call it intercultural trainings or whatever we decide. And so I'm thinking 9 hours is a okay time. Like I heard 6 hours, 9 hours, 9 hours in 3 sessions, 4.5. I seen 4.5. I seen annually is good. A few people said annually or more, right? And so that's awesome. So like we could vote, we can go by a unanimous decision. This is our meeting here. So it's really up to you guys and what you guys want to do with these numbers here. Okay, like, do you guys want to vote? Do you guys want to throw some more numbers out there?
I think free food, they're gonna come.
Incentive is everything.
That's right.
Yeah, especially in this world nowadays, incentive is everything. Like Jermaine said, free food is everything. Providing some sort of incentive. I don't know about other people, but I love to attend trainings that have a certification behind it.
Yeah.
Outside of the quirky stuff we can do, give away bears and dolls and things like that. But I love a completion certificate after I get done with something, just another resume builder.
Right.
Again, free food's always good, like Jermaine said. Just incentive. The world is driven by incentive now because we want a reason to have to be somewhere when we're away from what we think is important. If that makes any sense? I don't want to come out the house unless I'm working and making money or taking care of my kids or getting an incentive. So I'll take a free meal for that. I'll take a completion certificate, that kind of thing. So several different ideas to throw out there, Raven, but when you get to writing that grant, add a little incentive in there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Instead of doing like just annually and doing it in one session, because we've been talking about, initiative and retention and things like that. When I said 2 4.5-hour sessions and what Megan just said, then that was just making my brain think, well, what if we do a 4.5-hour session and then 6 months later we do another 4.5-hour session with, of course, maybe a half hour of it to be recap from previously. That way it's not just like the other trainings we go to, where it's just here you are, and it just gets shoved at you. Then it's a little bit, and then 6 months and a little bit, because 6 months apart's really not that far, and then it keeps it current.
And we can bump off each other. We can come back to the table and say what experiences we had while we had our boots to the ground, and come back and share that across the table. And that's the magic. You get everybody's opinion, because it's a matter of listening too. You got to be listening to see what people are going through, and the experiences. With my experience is different from Raven's. Raven's experience is different from Kathleen's, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So, as committee members, we develop ears and listen to our committee members about their experience, and then we'll build a program to help others, because we have the information to build on, from the boots to the ground. Life experience. Everybody has experienced this in one way or another, and I think those stories need to be shared among us. That way we can build the empathy, the genuineness, the competency, the listening skills is very important. A lot of people talk and they don't catch it. So, it's very important that we listen to each other and then put it into action.
I love the way this is going, you guys. You guys are doing great. Okay.
Thank you for listening to me.
Yes. Another thing I want to bring to your guys' attention also is, okay, so I hear everything that's being said, and I'm thinking that's a great idea. Like if we just say we had, did 9 hours, right? And we cut that in half, that would be what, that'd be 4.5 or 3.5?
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5, okay. So if we cut that in half, 4.5 in the first part of the year, and then the other half, we could even, we could do one in like the springtime and then one in the fall, right? Like a spring training where, and let me tell you, like you will be surprised how many people would really love to learn, right? So I did a training and I trained over 160 professionals in a training, okay, on culture and stuff like that. Well, those numbers, they added up in one night. So like my training was supposed to start off with 70. That was the people, 70 people, 70 seats, right? And before the day came, right, I was like, oh, no one's gonna sign up, right? And we put the registration through. Next day it hit 70 people early in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, we got to raise it to more seats. Give me 1 second. Come in. So like the next day I was like, we got to raise it to more seats, so we raised it to 100. Like that same day, boom, it shot up to 100 participants. And so then we raised it to 150, and that was it. Like that capped us out right there at 150. So everybody else, I was like, hey, just show up, right? Like it's okay if you didn't register, just show up. There was about 200 people in that room. And so and it was beautiful. It was amazing. Everybody felt loved when they left. Everybody felt included when they left. You know, we shared some hard facts, right? We shared about a lot of things that were heartbreaking, and at the same time, we were able to bring it back to the healing process of things. We didn't keep it there in the trauma, right? We did it with the trauma informed lens. We made sure we had licensed clinical social workers on site. We made sure we had a spiritual leader on site, so that when people had questions about their own biases, or they had questions about things, that they had counselors there to support them. So that's something similar that we can do. I'm looking at 9 hours, thinking 4.5 hours in the springtime, 4.5 hours in the fall. They can come back in the fall, maybe at the end of fall. What is that? August, September, October, maybe in October or November, they can come back and just, and like someone said, while their boots were on the ground, right? Like what had changed for them? What did they learn? We could hear from them, give them more space to interact back with us on what things that they chose to utilize, what cultural competency skills they chose to utilize. There's also work being done around cultural competency, characteristics, right? What's cultural characteristics? What's cultural language? With everyone.
What is it?
Like, yeah, those are things that we can discuss, research, develop, implement into our stuff. Like I don't hear enough about single moms. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like I don't hear enough about single moms, and that concerns me, right? As a cultural chair, it concerns me because there's a lot of women, there's a lot of single fathers out there not getting support they need. Well, it's going to take people like us to be able to run those surveys and bring attention to it. So that's just another part of our cultural awareness, our cultural, what do we call it? Our intercultural awareness that we have to, you know, have, bringing attention to that. Or if we don't have Braille in our agency, like what about that? You know, there's a lot of little things a lot of work to do, right? A lot of work to do. I'm always open to taking questions, suggestions. You guys are my team. You know, we can do this. So 9 hours sounds good, guys. So when I talk to the region and state, that's what we'll present then. 9 hours.
With CEUs and with the
CEUs.
certificates, incentives, what did you say, Montanique? And let's do it. Diana said
Free
or
food.
more. Yeah, yeah. Food. We could do a lunch, and it could be different each time.
Right,
You know, not just pizza.
right.
No, I mean, not just pizza and donuts. We could
Do
do something.
cultural food.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I was just thinking like 1 month we could be, highlight one restaurant in the county. Another month we could highlight another meeting, another one, something like that. And do it every twice a year.
I love
I think
it.
it's beautiful.
Like that.
I think it's great. All right, you guys, I know we have 2 minutes left. If there's any closing comments or any closing questions, I will meet back with you guys. And this is a quarterly meeting, so let me look. So, August 29th.
Raven, so this
Yeah.
particular time, I don't know about everybody else, but I got the meeting notification yesterday for a meeting today, a 2-hour meeting today. Is there any way, Patricia? Or
Yeah,
Raven, that we can get it before then?
that was my
Agreed.
mistake. I thought I had sent out the invitation after the last meeting, and apparently it did not get sent.
No
So when I
worries.
saw, I was clocking out yesterday and saw that it was still there, not confirmed, and I was like, well, that's not good. So
Yay.
I sent it, but I'm
Technology.
going to send it after today's meeting. I will send, it's on my calendar for November 21st.
Guess
November
what?
21st.
That's a great day, you guys. That is my 45th birthday.
Right.
And I am
Yay.
still
Awesome.
here.
We're gonna have to sing you happy birthday. Awesome. All right, well, you guys have an awesome day and afternoon and happy
All y'all
Friday
too. Thank
Eve.
you.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy.
Bye,
Right. See
everybody.
you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Good to see everyone.